Welcome back to the Seeking Success podcast, the number one virtual podcast in the world, powered by StockPick. Today we have Luc, a very special guest. Luc has sold over $180 million worth of real estate. He's a co-founder of My Future Condo, which helps people buy new pre-construction builds, whether that's homes or condos. He's also a co-founder of AutoVision GTA, auto detailing contractors for used car dealers, and he's top 1% of all realtors nationally. Luc, thank you so much for coming on the pod, brother. Let's jump into your story, man.
Yeah, gentlemen, thank you so much for having me on.
No, for sure, man. So let's start into it, man. So obviously you're like a realtor and you're pretty well known in the community now, especially in Toronto. How did you get started into real estate? Talk to us about that journey. How did this happen?
Yeah, it kind of actually happened accidentally. I think it was a combination of the fact that I already had a genuine, general understanding of how the sales aspects works because back in high school I did run a marketing agency that
Okay.
services, realtors, mortgage brokers, etc. But it also happened because my parents had money tied up in an RESP, and that the only way for us to access that money was if I went to school. And
Mm,
I made the decision that I don't want to go to school. It wasn't for me. And we can go on and on about that conversation. But yeah, I think real estate was the easiest way for them to get their money out. I mean, I already had a real estate business at the time, so I decided to become an agent.
Right on,
okay.
right on. Okay, yeah, bro. So talking about that real quick, we don't need to go super deep into it. I mean, we have this conversation like every single time. But you come from Filipino backgrounds?
Yeah, exactly.
So how was the pushback of that? Like, you not wanting to go to school, but you also had a successful business. So I guess that kind of helped with the persuasion. Give us like a short rundown of that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking about like how it was with my family, it was a very difficult conversation for me to have, saying
Mm,
that I'm not going to school, I'm going to start a business, da 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 da. It's just there's always that one kid in the family that has that crazy aspirations of becoming a multimillionaire, but has no backing, nothing to
Yeah,
show for it. I was that guy,
yeah,
at the age of 17, maybe 18.
yeah.
But I mean, I did it anyway. And 3, 4 years later, I could confidently and respectfully tell my parents that I was right. So.
Right on,
Bro, I know your
right
parents are
on.
like, "Ay nako."
That's it. That's it.
That's
Fire,
crazy. Okay.
fire. All right. So yeah, Luke. So that's pretty cool. So you're doing the SMA thing, and then you got into real estate. What really pushed you to go from just being the average real estate agent to becoming like a top producer in the game? Because I've really seen your progression from around the time when I just met you through Radies, and then like what you're doing now. Obviously, a massive difference. What's pushing you internally to get that done?
I think what pushes me to get that done is the same reason why somebody takes their hand off of a hot stove. When you're genuinely uncomfortable and when you're feeling some sort of discomfort or pain, that is a triggering factor to get you to act onto something. In my case, is I was just tired of everything that that pretty much every aspect of my life. To open up your bank account to see $14 in there, that's not that impressive. That's nothing
Mm-hmm.
special. Like you kind of go down a different type of mental state,
Mm,
and the only difference between myself and most other people is that I was genuinely uncomfortable, dissatisfied with the cards that I was dealt, that something had to change, and I realized that no one was gonna come down from the heavens and just change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or help me out. The only person that
Mm-hmm.
was gonna get that done was myself.
Oh, for sure.
I like that.
Bro, that realization is actually crazy, bro. Because even me, man, when I just came back from college, like I was similar to you in a sense, Luke. Where like at a very young age, I realized, you know what, the school route not for me. I never really understood school. It was never my thing. Convincing my parents was really hard. So deal we had was they were like, okay, if you go do an accelerated program, then you do 1 year college instead of taking a year off, and then you could take a leap year, and then you could decide. So I went to 1 year college to specialize in a career. I got into the career, and it was crazy. Once I got into the 9 to 5, it's like all my hustle kind of died. Like I was just so focused on getting the paycheck, and I'm not gonna lie, I was very, very focused on real estate investing too. So I'm like, yo, I gotta save money so I could buy this condo. Sorry, this just a property, and I did, which was great. Like I did say, I put my head down, did not go out, saving like 80-90% of my income, and within the first like 8 to 9 months of working, I was able to buy my investment property, which is great. But I think sometime around right before buying the investment property, so I already had the money saved, which was good. I realized, I'm like, damn, like this is not what I want to do. I don't want to work in a mall my whole life. I don't want to work around like everyone's working around is like miserable, man. Like they're miserable. Then they go on 2 weeks vacation. They're kind of happy after that, but then it's like they go back in life and they're sucked in this trap. And I'm like, I do not want this. I thought real estate investing was going to be my way out. But I simultaneously did was started to go in these network events, seminars, bumped into Radies, started reading books. And it's crazy how you say that. Once like you get dissatisfied of where you are, that's when you can push to the next level. And then from there to now, like, bro, I have, like, I'm thankfully I've escaped that whole system. So it's good to see that the young people are doing it too, because like that was another issue. Like a lot of young people, they're kind of just doing whatever their parents say. They don't really question authority, and it's just refreshing to see. Someone like you just fucking crushing it. Because I literally seen your progress even without personally knowing you. And
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
yo, and talking about seeing your progress, bro, I've been noticing your cigar diet, man. And this was before. Actually, I don't know if it was before Agitate or not. I feel like you were doing it before the Tate stuff kind of popped off. But yo, talk about that, bro.
No, this was well before the Tate stuff. I probably have documentation on paper of me smoking cigars since I was 19.
Oh
Just that
shit.
the Yeah, I always had that inner gangster, in me, coming from
Okay,
where we
okay.
come from, Radies would know. So yeah, I mean that's just always been there, man. It's funny you bring up Tate. I actually also have this on paper. I've been in conversations with Tate ever since I want to say 2018 or 2019. So I knew him
No
well
way.
before the blow up. Yeah, well before the blow up.
Like you're actually in personal contact with him?
So I never met him. I have email
Okay.
correspondence with him going back
Oh
and forth
shit.
because part of the SMMA, we also did copywriting for clients. And so I pitched him
Oh.
copywriting back in like
Oh,
2018, 2019. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So him and I went back and forth. But I think I would imagine his copywriter is the same guy since the start because the way his copywriter writes is exactly the same. So,
Uh,
that could have been like a lifeline client for you then.
bro, I would try to take his business. I tried to take that copywriter's business, but that guy is a war room member.
Okay, okay. So
oh.
I guess one thing that people don't really know is Luke and I, we actually went to the same high school, and we both kind of started real estate around like a very similar time. I think, yeah, we both. Who got licensed first? Was it you or me?
I think you might have got licensed 2 weeks in advance. Like it was super
Yeah,
close.
it was very, and I remember like we were doing like the exams together. We'd be on call, like, yo, like what was on this exam? What was on this exam? And like even prior to that, we kind of like, I guess like we kind of just like knew each other and whatever. We weren't really close, but like when in high school did you like realize, oh, like I want to do more than just going to school? Like what got you into the SMMA world? Like how did that even happen? Because it's not common for a 17-year-old kid in high school to be doing an online business, right? Like that's very, very unique. So how did that happen?
Yeah, and to your point, it wasn't common at all. This was back in 2017.
Hmm.
And I actually remember it very clear because when I was in high school, I can remember just genuinely being, and I would never label myself as a depressed person, but I felt depression
Hmm.
because I was being put through an indoctrination system, which I didn't know it was that at the time, but looking back at it, it was exactly that. But there was that innate feeling that I had inside my soul that something was going on that I didn't like and something wrong was going on, and but I
Hmm.
just didn't know exactly what it was. So I
Right.
just had emotions of uncertainty because I didn't know what was happening. And two, is just there's always that desire for us young men to want to chase something bigger than us. So it was a mix of that
Mm,
and being uncertain, having no guidance, having no one to support me. When I
Yeah.
started this, people were looking at me like, "What are you doing? You're not going to school anymore. You declined all of your university offers." My parents are looking at me like I'm crazy. My friends are looking at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I remember that very clearly. So to go through that, I felt very. It was a very anxious time, but it
Mm.
happened. Going back to my point, just simply out of desperation, because if that wasn't going to be my reality, then what was the alternative? To go to school, and that image of me going through that
Yeah.
was more fearful than taking the risk of starting a business and just risking it all from there. But what do you have to lose? You're 17 years old.
yeah,
I had no money. What do you?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have no mortgage
yeah,
to lose. So it
yeah,
was just a matter. Listen, you might as well just do it because
yes.
there's no other option.
And I want like to say this as well because I remember vividly because Luke and I we used to take the same bus like back to like home like our neighborhoods from school and I remember like randomly like this guy would just stop coming like to school and I'm like because like obviously I'd see him at the bus stop like we talked to each other whatever and I'm like yeah, like yo whatever happened to Luke like whatever happened to this guy and I guess like that's probably when you would have had like your realizations and gone to school and stuff like that or sorry decide to not go to school and go down your business route and I like that you mentioned that like the fear of I guess like that opportunity cost right like do you want to go to school? Like, what did you apply to, by the way? Because I didn't even know you applied to school. Like, what did you try to go into?
I forget the schools, but there was like three or four of them that that I applied to. I got accepted to all of them. It
What
was
program?
regarding, I think, kinesiology. I know,
Oh,
like,
okay, okay.
just like the typical schools, like the
Yeah,
Yorks and all
yeah.
these other schools. And here's the thing about your point. In grade 12, in our last year of high school, I was absent 122 times. I didn't give a fuck. I did not show up. School? Yeah, right. I already have this little side business giving me $100 a month. I might as well
Oh
just
my
run with
god.
that.
Oh
But
my
I mean, I
god.
didn't even have a true breakthrough in terms of a taste of money until maybe I was around 2021, and that's when things really started to pick up for me. But yeah, man, like 122 times I was absent. I never went to school. I said, fuck that, forget that.
That's funny as hell.
Yeah.
That's craziness, bro. It's actually, I love seeing that, how like fucking if you stay passionate about something for so long, you could actually push through. So next question I was gonna ask was, if you had to mentor a younger version of yourself, and you had to step back into your shoes, what's the first thing you'd make yourself do? Like to kind of achieve what you got now, knowing the knowledge you have now.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing nowadays in today's society with the amount of social media that we're exposed to, it's created a lot of weaker boys. A lot of people are saying that we don't have many men anymore. We have a lot of
Yeah,
boys.
yeah.
So my first thing is that you have to, if I was to tell anybody that I was mentoring that's younger than me, is for one, you gotta grow a pair of balls, because if
Hmm.
you're too scared to take the risk when you already have nothing to lose, then you're going to be too scared to pick up the phone and make phone calls. For example, if you're in sales.
Yeah.
But in terms of actionable steps that anyone can take, the number one thing, the very first thing anyone should do, it doesn't matter if they want to get into podcasting, selling real estate, or selling shoes. First, ask yourself, who's at the top of this business? Who's at the top of this industry?
Hmm.
Then ask yourself, how do I get in touch with this person?
Mm,
The best way to get in touch with that person is to then ask yourself, how can I bring that person value?
hmm.
Yeah.
Because whoever's killing it in the industry isn't gonna, they don't care about you working for them for free. That's the number one pitch
Yeah.
most rich and wealthy people get. I'll work for you for free. I'll work for you for free.
Yeah.
The amount of times somebody has asked me, can I work for you for free? And, I want you to mentor me. The last time somebody asked me that, I put them through a shit test. I said, yeah, you want to work for me for free? I said, no problem. Call me back in a week. This guy would call me back once a week, just asking for an opportunity. So I was like,
Hmm.
okay, this guy's a little bit persistent.
Hmm.
And then when my auto detailing company got a new contract at Jane and Wilson on the west side of Toronto, I told this guy, listen, you want to work for me for free? You have some cars to wash starting 10 a.m. tomorrow. Do you want to show up? He said, yeah, I'll show up. No problem. Been waiting for this opportunity. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Luke. The next day, he didn't even show up. So, so to me, I don't look for, like, I don't care if you can work for me for free. If you have, you know what I mean? If you have a successful business, you don't have an issue paying somebody $17 an hour to do X, Y,
Yeah.
Z type of work for you. What I look for is the attitude. So if you have
Oh,
the
for sure.
attitude to work, then 100%. I don't care if you want this or that. We'll make it happen, because I only look for people with great attitude. So one, you have to have great attitude, and then you have to find the people at the top of the industry that you're looking to get into, and find a way to
Mm.
bring them value.
Yes. Yes.
Bro, I'm not
No, bro,
gonna
I
lie,
think
man.
that's big facts.
Yo, I thought that story was gonna have like a sick, like, yeah, and then he came, he washed every car, and then he fucking got me coffee, and now he's like the top sales guy. But nah, fuck, that's
Nah,
crazy,
man.
Bro,
dude.
it's horrible. It's like the whole like the Hollywood programming where like everyone they see it in the movies, right? The Mr. Miyagi, Daniel's son relationship, but it's like then no one wants to fucking put in the work. They assume making the calls to you and you saying yes was the job done. I'm gonna make it now. Like, bro, I'm not gonna lie. There's been times I fell into that trap too, where it's like I reach out to a bunch of people and then they'd say yes, and I start working with them, and like then it's like, this is kind of boring. Like I thought it was gonna be like so like sexy like the movies, like we're gonna go fucking conquer the world together. But I'm just editing this guy's videos. So I understand, but like you have to have some sacrifice. And you're right. At this point, like it's not like 2017 where like being an entrepreneur is a very rare trait. It's like the reality is now like fucking every kid either wants to be like fucking entrepreneur, they want to be some sort of YouTuber. No one wants to go to school route anymore. Like it's a common truth. You can't ignore that. So you being the guy, I'm gonna go work for someone for free. Yeah, guess what? That's not a thing anymore. I mean, it might be, but the competition is so heavy now because everyone's trying to do it. But I guess that could go into the next question, Radies.
Before we even get into that, like, yo, so talk to us about like you actually working for free. 'Cause I don't think people know the story. Like, you actually went and worked for free for Jazz, who owns the number one real estate team in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. So talk to us a bit about that story, how that came about, how you actually like secured that and was actually able to work for free, and now that got you to the position you're in. How did that happen?
Absolutely. So I actually follow my own advice. So exactly what I did, I looked at who's the top of our industry. Really, this is what I did. And one of my friends told me, a friend named Mike Seal, he told me it was Jazz Takar. I didn't know who Jazz was, but he told me to reach out to him. I said, listen, if this guy's at the top of this business, then who am I to not want to learn from this guy? Long
Hmm.
story short, I ended up getting this guy's phone number. I called him, and then he was kind of vetting me out. He was grilling me. He asked me, how many deals have you done? I said 0 at the time. He said, how old are you? At the time, I was 19. And then he also said, how long have you been in real estate for? I said 6 months. I haven't done a deal since the start. And this guy was like, well, unfortunately, Luke, we don't take on junior agents. And then I stopped him and I said, well, you're making a mistake because you need to meet me. And then he was just like, what the fuck? And then, long story short, he's like, come book a meeting with me for next week. I booked it for 8 a.m. on a Monday. So it was the very first available time slot. I showed up
Mm.
10 minutes earlier. And then he said, the moment I saw that you did that, I knew we were going to take you on the team. Because it was the
Oh, that's
attitude
sick.
Fire.
that it displayed. Imagine if
That's
I
sick.
set up an appointment for 10 a.m. and I never showed up. You think he would have gave me a chance?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I showed up 10 minutes earlier, 7:50 a.m. on a Monday, when everybody was still at home getting dressed. I was there, fresh as fuck, ready to kill that interview.
That's
That's
fucking dope.
that's sick, bro. That's sick. Yo, so talk to us about like the relationship with I guess it's kind of like a mentor mentee, that relationship. How has that evolved over the years? Because I mean, I guess at first a lot of people were like, it was kind of clear, like yeah, like it was a mentor mentee. I don't really see that anymore. I feel like it's like you guys are like, I feel like that doesn't really exist. Like it's not like big brother, little brother. Like it's like you guys are like, hey, like you know, we're both up here now. How has that changed over the years?
I will always respectfully bow to that man. He taught me everything that I know. So
Yeah.
shout out to Jazz. It doesn't matter if I'm selling $180 million worth of sales, real estate sales, or 180 billion. That man will always have my respect because he's the one that gave me a start. The relationship
Mm,
now is very tight. I see him on a regular basis. That guy is fucking
nice.
off right now in Mexico, so he should be back here at the office working. But every time I do see him 5 times a week, Monday to Friday, every day at the office. But it's
Hmm.
not like I'm his assistant anymore. I stopped that role end of 2020. End of
Nice.
2020. So ever since then, it's more like I'm a contractor to REC Canada. I have my own, like I'm licensed actually still under REC, but I have my own business within REC, my own thing. But whenever
Nice.
we're selling real estate like whenever his business is selling real estate, I come in and as a contractor and I get the job done.
Nice.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
sweet. Oh, sweet.
Okay.
Yo,
Okay,
let's
cool.
talk about that
So,
real quick. Let's talk about that
mhm.
real quick. Sorry. Just for a lot of people, because that's pretty dope, man. We always share the story of like you finding your mentor and fucking your mentor changing your life. Talk about like the offsetting. Like, what was that conversation like? What was the process of you going from like end of 2020 where like this
Ooh,
mentorship's kind of done? Like, talk about that part,
Ooh.
man.
bro, my heart was racing. It was one of those ones where like he ultimately knew. He's like, with your level of expertise and skill, it's impossible for you to just be an assistant for your entire life.
Mm,
And so he knew like one day I was just
Yeah,
going to spread my own wings. So I mean, it was
yeah,
just a tough conversation. The biggest concern was now I'm not
yeah.
getting a consistent paycheck. When's the next dollar coming in? And for those people
mm,
that are not in
Mm,
real estate, I sell pre-construction. Only mortgage agents, excuse me, only real estate agents know this. But if you sell pre-construction, it's not like selling any other property. When you sell pre-construction, your commission, you don't know when the fuck that's coming in. Because if
yeah.
this building,
mm,
if I sold XYZ condos, that building might be closing in 4 years, which means I might not get a dollar for 4 years. So what am I
Hmm.
gonna do? So
damn.
then the level of stress I was under, knowing that I'm not getting a paycheck anymore, and even if a 20-year-old kid was to pull off a $700,000 sale, even if I was able to do that, which I have many times, I didn't know when my commission was gonna get good hit my account. So there was just an
Mm,
Oh
abundance of
my
an
God.
anxiety that I was going through because I was making not only people always talk about the greatest leap for them was going from employed to self-employed. I went from self-employed, but I didn't know when my commission was coming. If you if you sold resale properties like a regular house down the street,
Bro.
you're gonna get paid within 30 days. I didn't know when I was
yeah.
Yeah.
getting paid. It could have taken 4 years. It could have get taken four
Right.
years.
Wow.
That
Okay.
that that's okay. So talk about that real quick, because you know what? This is not the first time I heard that. A lot of agents have told me in the past before that like especially pre-con, they don't get paid until it closes. I have a quick question though. So are you getting paid literally nothing, or do they give you a small commission, 100, 200, $500, or is it literally zero?
So now the way I have it set up is I get installments throughout the development time period. So
Yeah.
Okay.
thankfully my commission structure isn't 4% all the way up until closing. I get a percentage,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
every couple of
Every
times. And since I've been doing this now,
okay,
I'm starting
okay,
to now really reap the rewards for deals that I've done 3 years ago. So
okay,
yeah, now it's really starting to
okay.
really
Sweet.
kick in.
Okay, look, and I have a question. Like, let's just say they're slowly paying you out for an XYZ deal. If something happened when that deal wasn't to close, do you have to refund that money, or is that like something that was like a part of their non-refundable deposit?
So sometimes builders will take the money back. Thankfully, I'm in a
Oh, really?
yeah, I'm in a position where I'm a great fucking realtor, so none of my projects have ever canceled.
Right on, right on.
So
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
that hasn't happened on me yet.
Okay, right on, right on. Okay.
Well, yo, so tell us like because we love a good story here. What's like the craziest story you've had with like a client or like a lead or something like that? Like what's something absolutely batshit crazy?
I, I don't know what you define as crazy, but I think the first story that came to mind was when I had somebody that I known for about 11 years reach out to me and say that he wanted to buy a condo. Long story short, he
Okay.
ended up buying a
Uh,
condo off of me because
Okay.
so
okay.
he reached out. He said, I want this specific condo building and I want this specific unit. I got him exactly what he wanted. And
Okay.
a day later, he calls me and says, I'm going to cancel. I'm like, well,
No
I said,
way.
listen, you're my friend. I've known you for 9 years, 11 years.
Do I know this person?
Sorry? No, you
Do I know
don't
this
know this
person?
person.
Okay.
But I said, no
Okay.
problem. What was it? He says, well, it's just this is happening and I'm not the biggest fan of this unit. So, I feel like
Oh
I
my
should just
God.
wait. And then
What?
he whatever, we cancel it. A day later, I text him again just to follow up. I said, by the way, I had this unit get released. It wasn't supposed to release because the builder didn't want to let it go, but I got it just in case you wanted it. And then he calls me. He didn't even
Mm-hmm.
text me back. He calls me and says, can I be quite honest with you? I said, tell me. He says, I actually bought a unit with another agent. I just didn't want to tell you because I didn't want you to
No.
feel some type of way. He says, well, why? I
Oh,
was like, so why are you telling me this now? He says, well, it's because I want the
What?
unit that you have. And I said, so you want the unit that I have now, but I've known you for 11 years and you decide to fuck me for an agent you never met. I'm like, okay. Okay.
Wow.
Long story short, I took it
A
I took
snake.
it professionally, not personally. So I said, no problem. You got to
Okay.
I said cancel that fucking deal now with the agent. Don't give him no money. Don't sign nothing. Did you sign anything? I said,
yo, are you allowed to say
well, I
that?
said, did you sign anything?
Like
I
on
said, did
here?
you sign anything? And then he said, no, I didn't.
Okay, okay,
I
okay,
said,
okay.
no,
We didn't coerce him to do it. No, we
no,
didn't.
no.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said, if
No, listen, listen, fam. I know the laws too.
yeah. So I said,
I'm helping you out, fam.
thank you. I said, as long as you didn't sign anything, then I can give you advice. That's what I said.
Yeah.
He said, no, I didn't sign anything. So I said, well, fucking cancel it. Don't sign anything. Don't give him any money. Then you can have my unit.
Oh my
And
God.
and here's
That's
and
so
here's
funny.
and here's what actually would have not have even worked for him anyway. He signed with me because he originally committed to my deal. He committed to my unit.
Like he signed a
He
BRA.
signed with me already.
Wow.
The BRA
Everything.
he signed.
He canceled. So he
Oh
would have
shit.
got screwed anyway. I would have got paid, but it's just the fact that it was behind my back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
11 years. 11 years.
Bro.
That's crazy. And a lot of the time, I feel like it's not about even about the money. It's more so about the principle behind like what the person did. And
100%.
it's like wow, like fuck, like
Dude.
really, like I don't know, like it is what it is, right? Okay, that's
Yeah.
a pretty interesting story.
Bro, Luke, the crazy part is I grew up with my mom being a mortgage agent, like since we were like pretty young, right? And like the sad part is this is a fucking common story,
Ooh.
bro. And like this is your friend of 11 years. We're talking about like fucking family relatives, bro. Like my mom would do all the work for them, and then for them to just walk like the next agent or like I guess this looks a bit shinier, and like it's so crazy. Like you're saying the story, it fucking obviously like it's fucked up, but it's crazy how like this is such a common thing in the business, bro. Like they're gonna leave their friend and show them all these properties because this agent's doing like a 5% kickback. Like, are you
Yeah.
serious?
But here's the
Like,
thing. Like, I don't know if you guys caught this, but when I was telling that story, I said I never took it personally. I took it professionally.
yes,
Right?
yes,
So
yes.
knowing that people go behind my back, despite the fact that I already put in the work for them, to me, it's just like, well, that's
Mm-hmm.
my fault. I could have been a better salesperson
Yeah.
because for some reason
Yes.
you didn't
Yes.
want to work with me. For some reason, the deal's not under my name. Ultimately, whose fault is that?
Yeah.
It's my fault. So that's why I look and think, okay, well, how can I improve? The nice thing is I ended up
Yeah.
texting that client that I had a unit. I didn't even know he wanted it. I just planted the seed. So, I mean, it
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
goes back to the importance of planting these seeds, right? Because you never know.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess it's
that's
being
crazy.
persistent as well. And so, like I really like that story. So talk to us a bit about like, I guess from my experience, I find that whenever I try and do business with like pre-existing friends, it kind of gets messy. But when you have business partners that you then become friends with, I find that that works a lot better and just a lot cleaner. Talk to us if you've had like a similar, I guess, experience in that sense, or like how you go about friends and business and just mixing it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to have the typical business philosophy of never working with families and friends, but I've decided to
Hmm.
switch teams. I only, I should say, I prefer to only work with friends and family because
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
if my own friends and family could snake me, what else a random guy that I met from LinkedIn? I don't fucking know this guy. So
That's facts.
this is how I operate business. Because if I've learned anything over the last couple of days, NDAs, BRAs, all of that shit, it doesn't hold any weight. What
Yeah.
holds weight is your
Yeah.
handshake. Are you going to fuck me? If you can shake my hand and say I'm not gonna fuck you, then no problem, we can do business. And the only people
Mm.
that I find that I have actually rode out and rode through those tough times were friends and family because there is a personal
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
connection there. For example, my brother is my business partner on my auto detailing company, so he takes care of
Okay.
everything. He doesn't look at any statements. I don't look at any statements. We just know no one's taking money. We don't have to think twice
Yeah.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to question it. I also had the
Mhm.
SMA company with my best friend Joseph. Him and I have been exchanging credit cards, bank accounts, everything since the start of this for the last 5 years. Our income has been like this. We'll make 100 grand, we'll make nothing. It's been like this. But him and I have never fucked each other and we never once questioned it. Because I operate
Mm-hmm.
my business from a handshake. If you can shake my hand, then I know that you're not out to snake me. And that can only happen with really only a handful of people, but I think that really comes from some connections that I have. I've learned that from
Mm.
very dangerous people, if you say, in this city that I do, that I should say that mentor me when it comes to,
Yeah,
you know,
you can call people out on the show. That's cool.
yeah, okay, well, I don't want you out of respect for them. That's all I gotta say.
And so that nah, dude. You know what, man? I've never heard that fucking philosophy before. I've always heard similar things to it, but that's actually fucking flames. Cause like, bro, even right now, like me and Radies doing this thing together, obviously there's money involved, and like it comes to a thought to your head, where like But then I feel like, especially at this point, I've known this guy for so long, and I genuinely trust this guy. He's like a brother to me. And like a lot of my other businesses, like you're like, and now that I think about it, most of the times I've only started something with friends. I've never just partnered up with a stranger before. And to a great point, like if your friends and family could snake you, why wouldn't fucking a stranger? So I actually like that philosophy, and I like how you and your brother are working together. So that was actually a question on our list: is how did you get into the auto detailing business? Especially you being a successful realtor, like are you passionate about cars? Is it just something that was missing in the marketplace? Talk us through that real quick.
It honestly came accidentally, just like how I got started in real estate. And the reason,
You're good at these accidents, eh?
hey, be careful. I don't want any of those, pregnancy scares, brother. But anyway, but yeah, in terms of that business, it did happen accidentally. So my brother used to work for a develop. How do you describe those companies? Like a software development company, and they ended up closing.
Mhm.
So he needed a
Hmm.
job, and one time we were just smoking cigars in my backyard, and he just had the idea of starting a detailing company. Like he would see TikTok videos about it and thought it was cool. I said, "Well, listen, bro, I don't fucking know the margins on those type of businesses. I got money. I
Yeah,
got
yeah,
money.
yeah.
I'll fund it for you. We'll go 50-50. You just do all the work. You do all the labor."
Yeah.
Oh,
So we
sweet.
we
Oh,
ended up doing
sweet.
that, but I knew a guy that owned a dealership, a used car dealership out in the West End of Toronto. And then I spoke to him. And I said, "Listen, man, like I started this now. We've already done a handful of cars. How can we work together?" He says, "Well, that running rate for doing it for used car dealerships is about 110, $120 per car." Then I said, "Oh, really? Well, you own a dealership, right?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I do it for $80 a car." I said, "Just to start." And then he said, "No problem.
Mhm.
Come to my dealership." So I went to a dealership. my brother went to his dealership, and we started doing about 20 cars a month for this guy, and he would pay us about $80 a car. After we've
Okay.
established that we were actually good at what we do, he made an introduction to another dealership, and those guys were doing about 120 cars a month. That guy also
Oh
was
wow.
paying us much more than $80 per car, closer to the standard rate.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, like within a matter of like 4 months, we went from doing, a couple of cars a week to 20 cars a month to now doing 130, 140 cars a month. And that all happened last year. Like
Mm.
this all
Wow.
happened accidentally because one, I knew I had a network, so I just reached out to my contacts and to see who could help me, and it just scaled from there.
Yeah.
That's
Nice. Nice.
fucking fire, bro. Yeah, I knew it when I saw the car detailing. I'm like, yo, either this guy's passionate about cars, or like he found this opportunity by mistake because like the margins are so high. It's actually funny. Me and my buddy Cameron, that was actually one of our first business ideas. We never ended up following through on it. He broke his leg literally a couple of days after we came on the
What?
pit. Yeah, yeah, fucking so random. But same
Wait,
Cameron, bro.
Cameron, like from the podcast,
Yeah,
Cameron? Oh
yeah,
shit.
that was like our first business idea, like in like grade nine. But yeah, because the margins are so high, bro. Because like, it takes what, fucking 20 minutes if you're gonna take your time, 30 minutes to wash a car, and then at the time you can make 60, $70 washing a car. This is fucking a couple years back, but that's pretty sweet. I want to talk because this is actually really important. What you just said, the key thing that you're missing is anyone can start a business, but the difference between Luke and you is Luke knew a bunch of people already, so it's very easy for him to plug himself in, right? Talk about networking. What's something like a tool you use to like grow your network in terms of like events or whatever? And yeah, answer that first. I got a follow-up question after that.
That's a great question because you just got to get out there as much as possible. Towards the end of last year, I actually invested in a private members club in downtown Toronto. Less than 1,000 members there. I'm the youngest
No,
member, and I spent a couple of $1,000, and I got
sweet.
nothing in return except just access through the door. That's it. Everything else I have to pay for,
Yeah,
access to the bars, dining, events, everything. That's all extra cost. I spent couple of
yeah,
thousand
yeah,
bucks just to be in the circle. And from there, I met
yeah.
countless amount of high net worth, high value individuals. So my advice to
Mm.
people is you gotta be in the loop every single day. Something that's very sad today is that since people are lazy nowadays, they like to work from home and do all these things. And that's no knock. I actually find that I'm very productive at home. But where you're going to get most of your value is by going to the office. If you have an office job, go to the office. Talk to your employer and
Yeah,
move your position where you're in person. And that way you can actually build meaningful relationships with people. Both times when
yeah,
I networked my way to the top of the real estate industry, as also to network my way into a six-figure side hustle within the matter of 4 months, it happened because it happened accidentally. The gentleman that I knew that owned a dealership that gave me
yeah,
the head start with the 20 cars, I knew him because he used to be outside of my office 5 days a week drinking a coffee. Regular guy. He never even wore a
Mm.
suit. He never wore a
mm,
suit. He wore a sweater and a jacket over it. Little did I know that guy ran a $20 million industrial gas business. Yeah, he makes
whew,
yeah, industrial
Damn.
gas doing
whew.
20 mil a year. So him and I hit it off because if I see this guy every
Madness.
day drinking a coffee outside of my office, I'd be ridiculous not to say hi. It doesn't matter. I didn't know he was
Yeah.
doing
Yeah,
20
yeah,
mil a
yeah,
year. I just wanted to say hi.
yeah.
So
100%.
so my
Yeah,
advice
for
to
sure.
those is that to network, you don't have to look far. In my case, it was just outside of my office, and it's going to be hard to do that if you're
Hmm.
working.
No, 100%, bro. Like I think a lot of people say that too. Like, yo, at one point, oh man, I will fucking talk about it. At one point, I was in
No,
like
no,
some
no, we have to talk
multi-level.
about it.
Okay, so at one point, I was in like this multi-level marketing thing, right?
Oh,
I'm not gonna
fucking
talk about the
great.
company's name. And like I remember, bro, like the one positive I took away from it was like the one thing I hate about network marketing, and to each their own, whoever does it. But for you, is you kind of burn your like your name and reputation amongst your friends and family. But they teach you a lot about like marketing and networking, connecting with people. And one thing this guy took a purpose to say, and I heard other real estate agents saying this is it doesn't matter if your fucking lunch costs you $15 or $20. Do not fucking eat lunch in the office. Do not eat in the break room. Go out and eat somewhere in public, in a cafeteria, in a restaurant, just so you can network. And same thing with coffee. Your morning coffee, don't make it at home. Spend the $4 because you don't know who you're gonna bump into in line. And like they made it a point to like learn to chit chat with fucking everybody. The guy in line, the guy serving you, the guy sitting next to you. And again, if you utilize these steps, I think it's good and bad to take away from anything. But when you utilize these things, like I remember at that time, I was an extremely shy person when I joined that business at first. but just a couple of months of like trying to network and trying to grow this business, it was great for me on like a social level because I kind of learned to break through the shell, like past the own voice in my head that's saying, no, don't say that. It might be weird. This person's probably gonna think you're funny, or it was like. But yeah, to your point, like just if you do work from home, maybe make it a thing where instead of just eating the home cooked lunch, go out and grab a lunch. Go talk to the person in line. Go talk to the girl serving you. Like
Yeah,
just
no, that's great
go out,
advice.
right? And the second question, yeah, the second question I want to ask you was, so you have put yourself, I didn't even know this, but you're in that Toronto club, which is pretty dope, but you've been smoking cigar things. Obviously, it's not cheap, right? So when you are out buying these cigars, I don't know if you order them or if you actually go out, are you bumping into people? And the reason I ask is a lot of people that get like high-end vehicles, like a Lamborghini, a Bugatti, right? They get it so they're part of this, they get it so they're part of this the sphere, right? Even to a small degree, like when I got the Corvette, if I park up at a beach and there's another Corvette owner, it'll be a thing where like we'll walk up to each other and chit chat, and it's crazy because like I could have like a '98 Corvette, which I do, and this guy could have the newest one, but it's like we're part of this brotherhood. With my Jeep too, is crazy. If you drive with a Jeep, like the Jeeps, we honk at each other. It's nuts. Like that's
What
like
the heck?
yeah, it's like a culture, right? Just like motorcycle drivers, they give them the finger, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yo, it's like the
it's
Tesla
like a culture.
superchargers, bro. Like the
Yeah,
supercharging
yeah,
stations, everyone
exactly.
just
The
talks to each
supercharger.
other. It's so
Yeah,
sick.
Tesla too. Yeah, the supercharger network. So, what's that like for you? Do you have something else other than a private club and the cigars, or even if you don't, like talk about a private club, talk about the cigars.
Listen, man, there's a way to connect with everybody. You just got to look at
Yeah,
somebody from their toes to their head top, and there's a way to start
yeah.
conversations with them.
Oh, for sure.
And and I mean, this is great dating advice for guys that don't know how to talk to girls. Like,
Mm.
I mean, like you can find something to talk to them about. But when it
Yeah.
comes to business and networking, I think just like one thing that actually works really well is complimenting somebody's shoes. Even if they're
Oh,
nothing
for
fucking
sure.
special, it catches
Yes.
them so it catches them so off guard. I don't think you guys understand the amount of times I'm standing in line at Tim Hortons and I see like these regular Converse and I'm like, yo, those are sick. And they'd be like, oh, really? Like, thank you. Whatever it is, find a reason to
Yeah,
just
yeah,
compliment them, and then boom, conversation starts from there. I find that okay. So for example, like when I met that guy that was doing $20 million in the industrial gas business, it
yeah.
happened because he was again sitting outside having a coffee with his friend. I actually didn't go and speak to the guy specifically. He was talking to a police officer, and the police officer was his friend. So
Okay.
there during the times it was during like the height of the COVID lockdown. So we actually went to the both of these guys, me and my friends, and we said, "Well, what do you guys think about these lockdowns?" And these guys went through a long
Mm,
conversation about that, and I said, "No problem." And then from there it just ended up turning into a 2-3 hour conversation, and that's how we connected.
wow.
So I mean, if you
Mm.
just
Oh,
find something to talk to somebody about, I mean, yeah, I
yes.
mean that's it. You don't have to spend a couple of $1,000 to get into a membership the way I did.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
me,
yeah.
for me that fast tracks it because now I'm being
Yes,
invited
yes.
to these private cigar dinners where I'm smoking cigars with people that are not doing 20 mil a year. These guys are doing 50, 60 million a year, and I'm just sitting in there as a fly on the wall.
That's
Hmm.
crazy.
Yeah,
That's
I've met
crazy.
I've met political figures inside these clubs that I won't name, and whenever I would speak to them, I'll give you a story. One time I was having a cigar dinner with a group of my people in my network, and then I was just getting to know some of these guys that I'd never met before. And then his friend tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You see that guy over there that you're talking to?" He says, "If you want to push an agenda or a narrative, he's the guy you speak to." He said, "If you want to,
Oh, shit.
he says if you want to sway the decision of an election, you can speak to that guy." I said, "Well, I
No
don't have any
way.
kind of I'm not there yet, but
Bro.
it's good to know. But I'm only in rooms with these people that are that powerful
Yes.
because of the things that I just mentioned. And it's cigars. To your point about the Corvette and the Jeep, the cigars is what bridges that gap for me very easily. Honestly, it happened because I was gonna do that shit anyway. I smoke cigars on a regular basis. As I said, I've been doing this since I'm 19. I might as well do it with some elites in the city. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, something a lot of other people teach is that if if you have any kind of hobbies, whether that's playing basketball, at least let it be known in the court gyms what you do. It's the same thing.
No.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. So yeah, okay. So Luke, tell us. I guess before like we have a rapid fire round usually before we wrap things up. Before we wrap things up, man, is there anything else that you want to go over? Any questions you had for us or anything of that nature?
No, man. I mean, you guys have been great so far. If I could really actually just leave anything with anybody listening to this, I know you still have your
Yeah.
questions, but I'd say especially to the younger audience, I think you need to develop a sense of urgency. So like
Mm.
2-3 days ago, Radies caught up with me 2-3 days later. We're sitting on a podcast. It's because we're quick to act, right? And inflation is outpacing your wages, so you got to find a way to
Mm.
make sure you outpace inflation, because everybody's actually going to get screwed over the next year, because 2022 was tough. 2023 is going to be even harder. So my advice to anybody watching, especially the younger audience, have a sense of urgency, because it's not going to get any easier.
Mm. No, I really like that. And yeah, no, it's true, guys. Like, I mean, Luke and I are someone like we catch up like quarterly, maybe sometimes, like sometimes monthly. We just kind of catch up here and there, and like it's always cool because I told this to Luke too. Like, out of everyone that I catch up with, I feel like Luke's one of the people who like every single time like there's like clear progress being made, which is why I'm like, yo, like I respect you. I'm like, yeah, like this is cool. You're obviously doing something new, you're doing something different, and you're just growing as a person, right? And I mean, even from like our high school, we talked about this off camera so many times. Like, there weren't that many people that I can look around and be like, yo, like my classmates and the people who said that, we weren't gonna make it, like, it kind of speaks for themselves, right? Like a lot of people, it's like it is what it is. So it's cool to see, man. And yeah, let's go into a rapid fire round. So basically, the way this works is we're gonna say something, and you have to answer with one word, and it has to be quick, right? So usually the first thing that comes to your head, boom, it just has to come out. Okay.
Is success.
Myself,
Failure.
depressing.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can name someone too if you want. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god.
I'm just trying to start this pot, man.
Yeah,
All right. Social media.
Mm.
toxic.
Mm.
Ooh, okay. Marketing.
Sales.
Okay.
Fuck.
Next one is sales.
Let me guess. Marketing.
Oh, was the next one sales?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Next
yeah,
one's
yeah.
sales. Yeah.
Money.
Okay.
Okay. Closing.
Status.
Real estate.
Okay.
Opportunity.
Okay. Pre-construction.
Investments.
Okay.
Listings.
Realtors.
Motivation.
Garbage.
Networking.
Important.
Yeah, Umar, ask this one too. I want to ask the last one again.
Sure. Okay. Most motivating person of all time, and it could just be the first person that comes to your head.
Jesus.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've never heard that one before. What the heck? That was very unique. Okay, so if your life was a book, like everything that happened in your life was written into a book, what would the title of the book be called?
Oh shit. I can give you a proper title?
Yeah, yeah, you can use more than one word.
Man. Well, it's way too early to say, because although I've accomplished a lot, I don't know, man. I feel like it would be quite simple. Maybe just something along the story of Luc Lising. Just really something like that. Because for
Okay.
someone to have to cram in one specific title to describe me, I don't think by the time I die, assuming I live another 80 years, that one title won't be enough. So I
I
think,
guess like up until from like zero to like now at least.
yeah, then I think what I'm probably known for the most is just how I've sold $180 million worth of real estate by 22. So I think it would be something
Mhm.
sales related.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice, nice.
Yeah.
Fire,
All
fire.
right.
Well, that wraps this podcast up, guys. Thank you, Luke, for coming out and giving us the time. And hopefully, you guys all learned something special. Just want to give a massive shout out to StockPick, who's powering this podcast. So make sure you check out their download link. It'll be the first link in the description below. That wraps
Yep.
us all up. So until next time, stay seeking success.